What up, everyone? Dollarnaire Radio, hosted by Dollarnaire Entertainment's own B-side. Behind the boards, I got a Jersey legend, Perth Amboy, in the building. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, man. Without further ado, let's get it.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? My name is Lorenzo Cardona. Everyone calls me Zoe. Grammy-nominated engineer from Perth Amboy, New Jersey, born and raised. You know what I'm saying? That's my hometown. Out here trying to rep Jersey. Out here trying to change the view on engineers and start to make this evolution of the engineer. So I'm great. I'm grateful to be here. Grateful to talk to all of you guys. So yeah, let's get to it, man.
Facts. I really feel like I gotta put it on wax too, cause I'm an audio engineer myself.
Yeah.
I'm 2 years in the game, so I really gotta say, I'm 100% sure my listeners are gonna enjoy this, but I promise you, I think this is a little bit more for me.
Oh
interviewing
yeah.
you feel me?
Pick my brain and all
Right,
that. Yeah,
right.
that's what's up. That's what's up.
I'm in
I
position.
get it.
Let's get it.
Yeah.
Let's get it, my
Word,
boy.
man.
So let's talk
Ask
about
away.
your childhood. So obviously you Latino background like myself.
Yeah, I'm Puerto
And you in
Rican.
hip hop.
Puerto Rican, born and raised in Perth Amboy, New Jersey. Music's been in my life since I was a little kid.
Okay,
Mom and dad play music Saturday mornings, clean the house.
Yeah, you
things
know
like
the
that.
vibe, right? With the
Yeah.
pistolín and
Yeah, the pistolino, oh my goodness. Yeah, definitely, man. Like, mopping and sweeping, clean the house. There was always music around, and like, it was always like, during holidays and stuff, family members played instruments and everything. Like playing guitar, we sing Christmas songs, things like that. But even before music, like when I really got into it, I remember myself asking questions to my sister. She's 6 years older than me, so like, and at that time too, I didn't even know what I was asking. But when I got older, I started understanding.
Okay.
When I was young, I remember this is the time when Snoop Dogg "What's My Name" came out. So I'm like 5, 6 years old,
Okay.
real young. And I remember I go with my sister. I'm like, yo, I saw the video, but then I saw him perform it, and I was like, yo, why does the song sound different when he performs it, but not in the music video? And she
I
goes to
peeped
me,
that, right.
she goes to me, because it's not mixed. And I was like, well, like, all right, but it never clicked in my head.
And
Never.
your sister
clicked
knew
in
what
my
that
head.
meant? Mixed?
Yeah, my sister's really ahead of the game. She really put me on a lot of music when I grew up. So like I was really influenced growing up by the women in my family. So like different eras of music. So my parents with the salsa music and all Spanish music, my grandparents too. But in my grandparents' house, my aunts and uncles, they were young at the time. So like they were in their early 20s when I was born. And
Okay.
when my sister was born, they were in their teens. So like they had records and everything, Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, a lot of 80s freestyle music, Stevie B, Lisa, Cover Girls, and a lot of disco. So,
Right. The
you
same
know,
thing in Ecuador too. We had a lot of 80s music, 70s music. That's what my father came through with too.
yeah.
He
So,
played
like, I
guitar.
remember, like, they would play them. My aunt, for example, she was in her early 20s, so she was partying with her homegirls. They go to the club and everything. I'm like 2, 3 years old. I remember walking around in my grandmother's house with my diaper on, drinking a bottle, going in their room, and her and the girls are getting ready. And I'm hearing all this, they're playing like freestyle music and all this stuff. So like I remember those things. So it's like music always been around, and like different genres of it always been around me. My sister's the one that really got me into understanding like music business, but at such a young age. So like I give her a lot of credit for like my influences, because without her, like, she really put me onto a lot of stuff that I can't even believe she knew at the time, because I'm 6 years old, she's 12, 13, you know.
Mhm.
So but like I'd ask her like why do we hear artists only for a certain time of the year, but then we don't hear them anymore? She like, because they don't have anything to promote right now. They're not putting a CD out. And I'm like, how does she know this?
She was advanced.
Yeah, and when I got older and I started thinking and I started doing my own music and like, just becoming an adult, I really like started looking back. I'm like, wow, she really knew a lot before her time. So she's the one that really put me into hip hop and with R&B. Like, but she was listening to hip hop like Outkast and Aaliyah, Lauryn Hill, Salt and Pepper. Then she's listened to a lot of R&B artists, Boys to Men, Escape, SWV. She was listening to she would start listening to like the Backstreet Boys and all that as well. So it's like she really had a lot of music influence behind it, to the point she went to Rutgers and she was doing work in the radio station when she was here
Really?
years ago. Yeah,
Was it WRZU or was it
I,
the?
I don't remember.
I'm pretty. I mean, this one's been around since like 2001, I think, like that.
Yeah.
And then the WRSU one has been around since the 40s, 1949.
Yeah, so she was doing something, but then she also left from here and went to work at Magic Night, the another spot a couple towns over here. But
That's lit.
yeah, so I don't know, like she graduated from communication, so I'm like now I understand everything. But like those are my early times, really, with like understanding music. But then when I became like 9 years old, I was in middle school. I was like in fifth grade. Sorry, 10 years old. I was in fifth grade, and I saw the band director play the drums. So I want to do that.
Right.
So
Okay.
then I got into playing drums and learning how to read music, and with my classical background, now I'm going into like jazz music and classical orchestral music, all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm being influenced everywhere now in my life with music. Everywhere's coming at me, and I'm running around with my boys that they're starting to listen to hip hop, and we're like fifth, sixth grade, they're starting to rap and stuff, things like
It always
that.
starts around that age, right?
Yeah. So it's like that starts happening and everything, but then before I became an engineer, like my life before that was drumming.
Wow.
You know,
Okay.
I was a drummer.
Were you ever in a like a
I was
band?
in a marching band.
You were.
Yeah, man.
That's cool.
I was always in marching band. I was playing the snare drum. I was captain for 3 years out of high school. We won a bunch of championships for it, and I come from a long lineage of great drummers from my town.
Right. Yeah. I heard like
Yeah.
it's serious business out there.
Yeah.
In Perth.
So like my mentor won the Guitar Center drum off 2 years in a row, and the first year that he ever went in, he took second. So
Okay.
like he's one of the best in the nation. So like he was my mentor growing up with drumming and with music, and I just started learning and picking up stuff on my own. So when I started growing up, people started knowing me in town for drumming, and like that was my thing. That's all I was about.
Okay.
Then when I got into high school, probably like my sophomore year, I think that's when I got the idea of like engineering, because I was with my homies that were all into reggaeton music. So that at that time, that reggaeton music was popping. That was like Daddy Yankee Gasolina, and that's all my Hispanic friends, my bilingual friends. They were the ones that started listening to that, and they started wanting to record music. And one of my older friends at the time, he wanted to get into audio engineering and was going to go to Full Sail.
Full Sail's been around that long.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is probably 2003.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was the right. I remember
Yeah.
being in like middle school and reggaeton was like the thing too.
Yeah, that was like
Right.
2003. So like and then I got influenced into doing that because of him, and he eventually moved and went out there to do it, and I was still in school. But I remember once we had a career day at the high school, and this university, Jacksonville University, showed up, and they had an audio engineering program, and I didn't even know what the name of it was, like
Yeah,
what I do now.
So you knew like engineering as a field like existed.
But I didn't know the name of it.
Right. Yeah. Me
So
too.
I was like,
You're right.
so I went up to the lady at the university, the little table. I was like, yeah, I want to do that thing with the faders that make everything sound nice, and you're in the studio.
Right.
I don't know what that is. And she was like, she started out, she's like, it's audio engineering. She opened the book and showed me and all this, and then I was about to apply there, but my mom was like, hell no, you're not going to Florida. You're too young to go out there by yourself.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Like you can't. So I was like, all right, cool. So I had to start looking around in Jersey. And I found William Patterson University.
Willie P had in it.
Yeah,
Wow.
and they've been having it for years.
What?
They had it since the 90s. One of the producers, the Snapple fact.
Snapple fact.
Yeah, one of the producers that came out of William Patterson University was the producer for the Will Smith song "Wild Wild West."
Wow.
Yeah, he
Okay.
made that was like his biggest hit. So like they had a couple people come out of there. I was surprised, but their program is like very, very musical background. Like you have to be very musically inclined with instruments and reading and all that. So then I go to William Patterson University, audition, I get in there, I get into the program. In the beginning, I was in the music management program, and I was like, this is not what I want to do.
This ain't it.
I
School,
still
yeah.
didn't really know what the name of what I wanted to do was yet, because I chose
Right.
I chose the wrong degree on the application.
Right.
And
I
it
do
was
like that.
there was one that was on sound engineering with the art. That's what I wanted. So that I switched it, went over there, and then started doing my thing. But I didn't feel right there. So I started having issues at the school. It's like an academic probation, failing, all
I
this
know all
stuff.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro, all that stuff. So then I transferred, and I was like down. I was low. I was about to give up. I was like, yo, I'm not gonna do music no more. I'm done. I don't want to do this no more. I was coming home like depressed, like crying and shit. Like I don't know what to do with myself. Yeah. So then I was talking to my mom's about it, and then my mom started worrying about me and everything. But then like my grandmother, she spoke to my grandmother, and my grandmother was the one that had the most wisdom
Okay.
all the time. I don't know how to explain it. She was always ahead of everybody, so she always was up with the times. So she goes to her. My mom tells her the situation. She goes to her. Well, does he love what he does? She's like, yeah, he loves it. And she's like, then you just have to let him do what he wants to do, and let him get out of the situation he's in and go somewhere else because he's not happy.
Right.
Like most of all, he has to be happy at doing what he's doing. So like my mom, we talked about it, whatever, and I transferred to Bloomfield College, and everything changed.
Right, and was it ever like a tug of war battle? Because I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't until I went to Thanksgiving dinner and I went and saw one of my favorite aunts. She was like, "How's it going?" And I'm like, "Good." She was like, "Good," and she just gave me a big hug and she's like, "I have no idea what you're doing, but that's all I wanted to hear."
Yeah.
And that's when it hit me like a lot, especially in like Latino culture. Like this is like an enigma to them.
Yeah.
So like,
My parents asked, the first thing my parents ever asked me about it was, "Oh, do you get a Social Security 401k plan?" It's like, nah,
yo,
it don't work like that, mom.
No,
So
it
it's like
don't.
I gotta put them up at the same time. Now at this time too, when I'm going through all this, I'm running around back home with my boys that rap. So
Okay.
as my boys, shout out to Horseman Crew, 365 Entertainment. Those been my boys. I've been with them since the beginning of all this. Like
Okay.
to the point where my boy Shakes, he's the one that showed me for the first time what Pro Tools was. So
Okay.
I like we would go to the house, and I would go to the house that we would work up on, like we cook up everything at.
What was it, like Pro Tools 5?
Man, I don't remember. I don't remember at all. But I remember we used to be in this basement. I couldn't even stand up straight in, and none of us could stand up straight. I'm talking about my boys. I'm the youngest.
Right.
I'm the little bro out of all of them. So they're like 4 to 6 years older than me.
Okay.
So this is like early 2000s.
Okay.
Mid 2000s, and there was record crates everywhere. We had a little mixing board, and the mixing board, if we wanted to use it, we had to go to the corner store and buy a blank cassette tape and put the cassette tape in the board.
Oh, it was analog.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So then we was running that into a PC computer with Pro Tools in it. Yeah, man.
That's a lot going on for a little basement setup, man.
Then we had all these we had reverb machines and delay machines from Radio Shack. That and this is my boy Shakes was really into like producing and all this stuff. Like they're the ones that really got me.
Production setup.
Yeah, but they're the ones that really got me deep into wanting what I want to do now, because like I was just in there. They knew I played the drums. I didn't know anything of this stuff, so they started showing me. I started watching them how they worked. I started watching how they wrote their rhymes and all that. And at the same time, like a lot of us in the same crew started like learning how to rap, learn how to write their bars and all that. So I remember those times my boy Bobby Krills, he was the worst rapper in the world. But like I'd be at his house, me and his brother-in-law be playing Madden, and he's there listening to the same beat for hours, writing to it, writing right now. He's a beast, Now,
Right.
so it's like I seen just like I have evolution, I seen their evolution. But I started, so basically that they started showing me all the stuff, and I remember one day I walked into the studio, and my boy goes, "Yo, Zoe, like, look at this on the computer. Like, you see everything on this screen? You see the faders?" He's like, everything we could do on the analog board, we could do in here. And I was like, what's that? He goes, "Yo, this is Pro Tools." And I was like, what? I was like, yo. And I remember I just started sitting there and I just started watching. And then I started just getting on the boards just to record my boys because they needed someone to record. Like, my boy Shakes would be doing something else. And I'll get on it, boom, start pressing buttons or whatever. And I took it more serious, and I was in school with it at the same time, so I was in it every hour, every minute of the day.
Okay.
So then when I left Bully P and I went to Bloomfield College, like I said, everything changed. My whole attitude changed, confidence was risen, my GPA went back up, started doing what I had to do, graduated from there, and then and I didn't even get straight into the industry, nothing. I was working at a warehouse in Raritan Center in Edison, New Jersey.
That'll do it.
A tile warehouse.
Right. I was a bar back for a minute in
Yeah.
Brunswick, yeah.
So I worked at Walgreens for 6 years.
Okay.
And then I got fired from there, and I went from there to work at Sandstone Auto Mall. Then
Wow.
got fired from Sandstone Auto Mall. I had no job, and then I basically started working over at the tile warehouse spot. Worst job I ever had in my life. Worst job, bro.
Same
Conditions here. And everything worse. Basically, I was like, man, what the heck am I doing here?
Right. You have that moment
Yeah,
eventually.
man. And at that time too, I got into legal issues. So
That'll do it.
I got into trouble and everything. I was facing like 3 to 6 years in prison. Yeah. So
We clearly
yeah,
beat that. Yeah.
yeah, I beat that, and I was on probation for 3 years. But at the time when I got arrested, that's what changed me up, and I started getting like, all right, I got this degree in my house, and I'm not even using it. Like, what am I
Right.
doing? So I took a day off from that warehouse job. I was probably there already at that time for a year and a half,
Okay.
and Hurricane Sandy already hit too, so, and it destroyed the
Oh wow,
the,
this is 2012.
yeah. I got arrested September. I got arrested August 2012. I started at Quad Studio September 2012.
What? Yo,
Yeah,
that's
man.
quick.
Yeah, man. 'Cause I was like, yo, I gotta do something. I have to do something. I gotta try something. I had to think about. I had to do a lot of stuff too to like keep myself out of trouble.
Right.
So I can't at that moment get into any more trouble. I have to stay focused. I gotta lay low. So
What was the process like? Oh, go ahead.
So I went. All right. So I left from the. I took a day off from the warehouse.
Right.
I go to New York because I contacted a studio, Flux Studios, in the Lower East Side, and
Okay.
they were like, "All right, yeah, come by. We'll show you the studio and let's talk." I'm like, "All right, cool." Took the day off. I'm trying to get an internship. Go over there. They show me around, and then they look at my resume, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't really have any spots open right now." And I was like, then why the heck you tell me to come today? Like, you just made me take a day off of work. Like, I got bills
New
to
York
pay.
ain't cheap, man.
Yeah,
Going
it's
out
not
there and
cheap.
back, yeah.
It's not cheap at all. So I'm like, yo, like, come on. They're like, yeah, but you got a really good resume. You should bombard the studios out here and see what's up. Like, try to get an internship somewhere else. And I was like, they were like, what are you doing for the rest of the day? I was like, not much. I was about to just go home. And they're like, yeah, I really think you should go bombard these studios. So I was like, that's a good idea. So I took the train back to the Midtown. I found a Dunkin' Donuts, and I was on my phone using their Wi-Fi to hit up studios.
Okay.
First studio I hit up is Quad Studios.
First one.
The first one. First one I hit up.
I want to call Cat, but this is your story right now.
Yeah.
Okay, this is
The
nuts.
the first studio I hit. All right, so I go, I speak to the front desk manager on the phone. I'm like, hey, I'm in the city. If would it be able to come by and drop off my resume? And he goes, well, we have a lot of high clientele. Let me see the owners here. I can ask him if you could come up. He's like, hold on. Tells me I could come up. I get over there. I go upstairs. I give my resume, and I'm thinking I just gave my resume, and they told me to sit down. He'll give me the interview right now. I'm like, oh, damn. I walk into this studio, and I'm not lying. I was intimidated because I saw the plaques on the wall. I didn't know it was like that. Elevator's doors open. I was like, oh, wow. Okay, this is where I want to be. I want to be in something like this.
And at the time, you didn't know anything about the history of Quad or nothing like that.
Nah, I didn't. Well, no, I didn't. I didn't know
Not
anything.
even like Pac got shot there.
Nah,
Nothing.
I didn't know anything like that. And the only other studio I ever been into at that time that was like a legit studio was a studio I did my internship at when I was at Bloomfield College in Freehold, New Jersey, called Elephant House Studios. That was the first place I ever been. So it's like that's the only place I ever did anything at. Now I'm at Quad. I'm like, wow. So then I remember I'm sitting there, I'm sweating. Then I get my interview, and man, I bombed that interview. They don't even remember. I remember.
You remember?
Yeah, I remember, but they don't know more. It's been years, and things have happened in time. That's
Right,
like, who cares now?
Right.
But I remember this is how bad I was with Pro Tools. Like you can learn everything in college that they'll teach you, but what they teach you in college is the lingo and like the basics you need to know.
Right.
When you get out of college with your audio engineering degree and what you want to do, there's a different type of learning that you have to go through, and it's the real world learning because this is a lifestyle. So I'm having my interview, and he goes, "Oh, do you know your shortcuts?" And it's like all the little things you could do on Pro Tools,
right? Yeah.
To do things. And I'm like, yeah, I know them. And he's like, oh yeah, and I go, yeah, like, and I don't know if everyone knows this, but I was like, yeah, like Command S. And Command S is the general shortcut for just saving something in Microsoft, in Apple, period.
I mean, yeah.
In any program. Any program don't have to be Pro Tools. So I was like, oh man, I sound crazy right now. So I thought I bombed that. So then I go home. I mean, after that, I go to other studios throughout the day and I pass my resume out. But none of the studios I had that urge like Quad.
Wow.
None of them. So I go back home. My sister's at the house and she goes to me, so how did today go? I was like, yeah, it was cool. I get my resume out. I did more than I expected. And I was like, yeah. She was like, you good? Did you get anything? I was like, nah, not yet. But I was like, I was really hoping I was at this one spot. And then she's like, well, what's up? Why didn't why you think you did bad? And I told her, and she's like, nah, you know what you should do? You should send him an email back thanking him for taking the time to listen to you and hear you out and all that, and see what happens. So I did that. Like an hour later, I get an email back, and he's like, hey, we have these openings available. Well, if you want them, you could take them. And it was like for 3 days during the night to be an intern. So I was like, yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
So at that time,
starts the intern life.
Starts the intern life.
Right.
So at that time, I'm working at the warehouse. I'm doing my internship, and I'm fighting a case.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. You're still fighting the case at the time. Okay.
This case, I didn't finish this case till May 2013. That's
You're
when
almost
it was
there.
done.
You're almost at the finish line, but
Yep.
okay. I'm getting it.
So then I start my internship off. Eventually, since I have to be in my internship at 5, I had to leave work early. Eventually, my job fired me. So I get fired from the warehouse. So all I have now is unemployment and the internship. So I start going hard in the internship. And then basically I did my internship at Quad Studios from September 2012 to October 2013.
Oh wow.
So it was like 13 months. And then after that, my bosses told me, hey, you can start building us for sessions. And I was like, wow, okay, I finally got a job in this.
Billing for yeah, okay.
And it was an amazing feeling. It was great. It was a great feeling. Like me and my boy both got hired the same day, and we went out and partied.
Oh, I can imagine.
That's how happy we were. We were just so happy. And then like just going there and just putting the work in all these years. But in those times too, is like there was things that happened as I've been an engineer that have made me even more focused.
Right.
So it's like
even like
I thought I was focused, but not enough type
Right.
thing. So one time this is really a turning point in like how I've like I guess took the next step of like taking this to another level. One year I went to Miami out the blue, and on the day I bought my tickets to go out to Miami with my boys, my boss calls me and tells me that he has a 4-day lockout session with Birdman and Cash Money. And I was like, nah, I can't do it. I'm going to be in Miami. So I go to Miami.
Holy
right?
so, okay.
So I go to Miami and I'm out there partying and all that. My boy hits me up that they gave him the session. He goes, yo, I got the session with Birdman. I'm like, oh, that's what's up, bro. I'll do well, blah, blah, blah. Start talking or whatever. And like, I'm like on my 4th day out there. And he goes, yo, he calls me. He's like, yo, you still out there? I was like, yeah, I'm still out. He's like, word, I'm flying out there with Birdman, bro. He just picked me up. He's putting me on his payroll. My boy moved over and has been Birdman's engineer ever since.
Wow.
And for Cash Money. So like when that happened, I had the most sour taste in my mouth. Like my heart dropped. I was like, man, I lost out on an opportunity just to come out here and have fun. So like I started thinking like that. And yo, that was a blessing in disguise right there. And I never knew until like years later. And now me and my boy, we're putting things together. He lives out in Cali now. He's doing his thing over there. I go out to Cali. I work with him. We've been putting our own company together. We've been putting our own like sessions out there and making our own clientele out in the West Coast, just because of his connects with like Birdman and Cash Money and everything I've been doing.
Right.
So it's like it was a blessing in disguise at the end, but at that time I was like, man, I lost out on an opportunity, man. And I promised myself I wasn't gonna let that happen again.
Okay.
So then after that happened, I was literally on every single session. Never said no to a session. Hopped on everything. When they called me, I was there. That was it. And it got to the point where my bosses offered me more money and they wanted me to be more around more. And they trust me, so they made me house engineer. So then that's basically the reason why that happened, because I wasn't going to let that ever happen again.
So that's the level of it. It's intern, on call, and then house.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it'll be like intern, assistant, and then when you're an engineer, you're like on call and then house.
What, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But as you're an assistant,
it was mine. Yeah, right. It was
as you're an assistant, you do on calls as well.
Right.
But they won't officially make you an engineer yet. I guess in pay wise.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take. I gotta put a couple announcements. What is it? It's 5 o'clock. I gotta do a concert calendar real quick. We'll be back in exactly a minute.
Thank you for listening to 90.3.
Good stuff. Wow, that story's nuts, bro.
Yeah,
Shit.
man.
That story's nuts.
Yeah, bro.
What the hell, man? Let me see what else I gotta do. I might as well play this the station promo while I'm at it. Yeah, now we're gonna get into the beat. I know you was alluding to it, which I was like, perfect. This is a good place to stop because now you're a house engineer, and now we're really gonna get into the
good stuff,
Yeah.
the meaty part.
Right.
From the beginning of House Engineer to now, like, oh man. What a fucking life.
Yeah, bro. That's very inspiring. I feel good about myself right now. I'm right there with you right now. I'm at that point. We'll chop it up a little bit. Hold up. Let me see. I might as well play the station promo right after.
More great core radio is on the way.
Oh, I need a quick one. Web streaming. Let's go. Okay.
90.3 The Core can now be heard anywhere. Well, as long as you have an internet connection.
Okay.
The Core is streaming 20.
Here we go. And we are back. Dollarnaire Radio, hosted by Dollarnaire Entertainment's own B-side behind the boards. I got a young Jersey legend in the building, Zoe the engineer. We just finished touching base with his past up until his present, and now we are at the major forefront of his career right now. So I'm gonna let you take it away again, man. So he would just become house engineer when we last left off.
Yeah, so basically I became house engineer, and there's only 2 of us.
Wow.
As house engineers, and now they made a third now. We have an extra room now, so we do have a third, and there's someone that definitely deserves it too. That's been with us for years. Everyone that has become a house engineer there, we've been together for years. But I'm just the oldest one, so they look at me as the OG. Everyone at the studio, so yeah, it's definitely different now from what it used to be.
Right.
I'm the one now that like got all the stories. I'm the one that interns want to talk to and ask,
Right.
and you know, because I've been in every single situation you could ever imagine.
Right.
Inside the studio and outside the studio, I've seen a lot of stuff. So it's like, you know, everyone always wants to ask me questions, which is great. So it's like I love passing the knowledge to them, but like it's years of work, years and years of work, and to get the studio to trust you. Like,
Right.
You know, it's a lot of work. Like studio etiquette is like the number one thing.
Yeah,
You know?
I tend to do this thing where like honestly, I treat every new client with like a extremely professional, almost like a corporate attitude, and then I low key break down the process depending on how I read their body language and how you know what I mean. You develop a relationship with the client and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
the rest
definitely.
is gravy. You know what I mean? Yeah, let's talk about the artists you've recorded. Do you have any like top 10 favorites or like?
Yeah, definitely. Well, everyone, I'm mainly known right now for my biggest accomplishment is Post Malone Rockstar.
Right.
So
okay,
that's
good. That's
definitely
all right. Yeah.
That's always definitely been like my one of my special ones, one of my most memorable times in the studio.
Do you remember? Do you remember any
The
vivid?
session?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we all do. Everyone that was in the room that night still remembers it because it was like a movie.
Really?
Yeah, it was to the point that the engineers and assistants and interns that weren't in the room with us, we had the doors open. They're looking inside the room from outside, and like, man, I wish we were in there. It was memorable. I remember, oh man, I remember Post Malone having a kid come in and show him a song, and the kid's performing in front of him. He was like, and Post goes to him, man, you got a lot of talent, man. This song is awesome. This song, you got more talent than me, man. Like I got lucky with White Iverson. You know, he's 10. He's like really like amping this kid up, and none of us knew he was about to record Rockstar at that moment.
Yeah, because I mean,
You know?
I could see. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying White Iverson wasn't impressive, but like, you know, I definitely wouldn't have expected it to blow as someone who's like at least does his best to judge a hit. But when you
He
hear
didn't
Rockstar,
either. He didn't either.
right? But when you hear Rockstar, that's like a no. There's no challenge, no content. Like
Mhm.
that's a hit.
Yeah,
You feel
and
me?
we all knew that night.
You knew.
I knew that. I took that MP3, right? I took that MP3